Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and I am so happy to have you join me for this episode today. This is the show that educates you, empowers you, maybe we entertain you a little bit, and inspires you to live your most fearlessly authentic life. Because in my humble opinion, if we're not trying to do that every single day, then what the heck are we doing here? We are a top 5% globally rated podcast, and it's all because of you. So please remember to rate, review, and subscribe, share with all of your friends, and we really appreciate you listening. Let's get on with the show. Welcome to the show, Dr. Marko Lujic. It's so good to have you here again.
Jody, thank you for having me as always.
I will just share right away that Dr. Lujic is my doctor, and he is the smartest man I know, and everybody should go see him. That's me just saying this. I'm not getting paid to
Well,
say
thank you,
it.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I feel we've been working together for a year and a half now, and you took over where my other doctor wasn't really working on things with me. And I just feel so much better. And you're just so on top of everything. You answer my questions promptly, and just you're the best,
Well, thank you. And I think, I guess it's a little bit of a plug for myself, but it's
Of
more
course.
of what I always say, I feel is more of a plug in request for other physicians to kind of step up their game. And I am not saying I'm doing something out of the ordinary or I'm doing something extraordinary that everyone should be doing. All I'm saying is I think as a doctor, we've lost sight in the world of healthcare and we've only retained the vision of sick care, so much so that we've like morphed it almost deliriously in a state of delirium into being what we now consider to be offerable healthcare. And as physicians, we think we're promoting people's health when really all we're doing is watching out for their sickness. And I think that mindset, when I try to be interactive with my clients, like you said, attentive to what you request, because really it's your life, it's not mine. I need you to enjoy it, and quality is really all that matters. And there's been a lot of new data, and it's an interesting study that came out. The number one predictor of longevity in terms of a human was their relationship. Now they isolate relationship to, I'm assuming, some sort of intimate, loving type coalition of male, female, male, male, female, female, whatever it might be. But I'm going to go one step further. I wonder how long or how good of a life somebody would live if they had a really good personal and professional relationship with their doctor, right? Because I think a healthy interaction with a doctor is important, and I think we have that. So part of why I wanted to say this is part of the new age of healthcare, I think, needs to be a deliverable in terms of interaction that's more than the 10 to 12 minutes a year that we really get. And that's kind of what triggered that whole thought.
I feel that we're going back to the way things used to be, in that, the doctor comes to the house, right? And the
Yeah.
doctor sits there in the home. This is going way back when, and made house visits. So you're not making house visits, but you are taking the time. I know that when we have our calls, we're on a Zoom call for an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm sure depending on what it is that we're discussing, it may be shorter, but for the most part, when we review my labs, we're on the phone for an hour. And again, when I reach out to you, I get a prompt response from either you or your office saying that you will be in touch with me. So I think that in this day and age where life is fast, we have all the information in front of us, we want answers immediately. Nobody has the patience to wait, that we need those answers regarding our health. And that relationship with our doctor who's taking care of us is very important, because the family doctor used to be like the best friend of the family. Like they knew everything.
Everything. And it's funny because now bedside manner has been associated with the surgical, technical, skilled world where it's like, well, their bedside manner doesn't matter, but they're really good at their job. And now that is fine in a technically driven world. So in an operating room and in a radiology suite where it is truly a technical skill set, no problem. Make that world purely technical.
Well, and most of the people who are in that part of the service of medical business, not seeing patients necessarily, but more service oriented,
Yeah.
most of those physicians do not have a great personality, which is
No,
why,
and that's fine because the
right,
technical skill is what they need. But in the
completely.
world of healthcare, so now we've left everything we know in modern medicine because there is no healthcare doesn't exist today. It's sick care. Like a hospital is a sick building. That is not healthcare. You don't walk into a hospital to get healthier. You walk into a hospital to hopefully not get any sicker than you were or return back to baseline of health that you were at with no improvement. That's what a hospital is. So now we're going to invent healthcare, and inventing healthcare and starting a healthcare system means you have to have those conversations and you have to discuss with somebody how to take care of them. Because if I'm fixing a broken bone, it doesn't matter why you broke it, how you broke it, what you did. It's broken. It has to get put back together.
Right.
But if I'm going to try to prevent you from breaking a bone, I need to know, do you like to sit in the front seat while someone else is driving with your leg up? Do you like to sit in the rear seat? Do you like to not drive? Do you like to ride a motorcycle? Do you like to ride a bike? Like all of those things then become important to me saying to you, Jody, here's how we're going to help you not break your leg. But we view it as something like that rather than a healthcare professional saying, here's how we're going to not let you have a heart attack, stroke, diabetes, muscle wasting, all these other things that we could have. And those interactions now, lifestyle adjustments go from, well, do you ride a motorcycle or sit in the front seat to what do you eat on a day-to-day basis? What's your nutrition intake like? Do you like to eat out 2 days a week or eat in? What do you cook with? Do you use coconut oil? Do you use olive oil? All of the details become important. And that's where I think what you said at the beginning, our interaction matters.
It does. And just one more thing on that, because you did bring up personal relationships and whether, let's just say it's with significant others. The things that I always see are, your personal relationship with your significant other really impacts your life and your health. Because if you are in an unhealthy relationship or somebody who's not supporting you emotionally, is not emotionally available, it is going to impact the way your life is. And
So Jody,
I'm a huge
step
example
back.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is an incredible conversation, not to get sidetracked on purely social, but the hell with it. This is reasonable in women's health.
Yes.
Imagine now, extrapolate that beyond the intimate world of like a dating, loving, marriage, fiance, whatever world that is. And think about the relationships women have had with the medical community or physicians in particular, OBGYNs, unfortunately, in an age where it was just like, well, you should feel like shit. So you go from wanting to open up to somebody, tell them how you feel, to this is the doctor who looks at my vagina, right? Like that's an intimate moment. You should be able to explain with that human being anything you're feeling at any point in time if you're able to do that physically in front of them. But when you do, you get met with being told, well, that's just how it is.
That's what happened to me. And I think when I think back to my 50s, and I think I've mentioned this to you before, I had a lot of lows and I had a lot of highs, but I would never want to repeat my 50s ever again because my hormones were depleted. I was in a toxic relationship, then I remarried, and all of these other things. And I think all of the time, honestly, when I record a solo episode on here, I think I reflect back on my 50s and I'm like, how did I get through that time? How
Yeah.
did I do that? Oh, that's maybe why I did that, because my hormones were depleted and my relationship sucked. Now, did the relationship suck because my hormones were depleted and I was feeling depressed? I don't know, but they all have to go together. And it's just like
Yeah.
somebody coming to me to lose weight, feel healthy, have more energy, and feel hot, sexy, whatever they want, and be that person they want to be in their relationship, whether it's
Yeah.
work or personal. And the first thing we need to do is it's not one thing. It's like, oh, I'm not going to just tell you to go to the gym and work out every day. That's 10% of it. The other part is eating. But now we
Yeah.
have hormones to talk about because the women who come to me are peri and postmenopausal women. So it's like, okay, but what's going on between you and your husband? Is he supportive? How's your
Yeah.
sex life?
Yeah.
And the same thing going back to the conversation with the gynecologist in my 30s and 40s, which is when I got divorced after 17 years. I was perimenopausal, and my doctor said, "You're just getting older, Jody. This is just how it's going to be. And how's that Prozac working for you? Oh, let's try Zoloft."
Listen, I just heard a story of a woman whose OBGYN said to her, "I wish they would just stop talking about this perimenopause nonsense.
No.
They ruined our encounters."
Oh my God.
Correct.
Terrible.
Mind
Terrible.
you, mind you, this is like an early 60s, late 50s aged OBGYN gentleman. Now, I don't actually I gotta say, like, I almost don't fault him. That is
Mhm.
a product of your environment, right? Like the environment, it's not easy when you are in an environment to break free. So the same way, I believe humans blame environmental constraints on how their health comes out, right? Like they are a product of their environment. They are a product of their environment. But somehow I am a doctor who broke free out of an environment that I knew was oppressive for healthcare. I then entered into an arena where I'm promoting healthcare. You know what the most amazing thing is? As a promoter of women's healthcare, the number one grievance I get, or the biggest form of opposition that is always in front of me, it are female healthcare practitioners and mainly the OBGYN world of female healthcare. That is who attacks me.
You're like, you screwed everything up for us
They
because we were
I
smooth sailing.
Yeah, I get the most amount of heat, right? Locally. It's crazy. I have so many OBGYNs in the area just telling my patients completely false data, right? Like literally just spewing false, ridiculous data. But that trend and that world has so much momentum already
It
built
does.
that when they do say estrogen causes cancer, some people still buy it.
I have friends that are my age and they're still not on HRT. And I'm like, don't you want to feel better? I feel fine. I'm going to get cancer. I'm going to die of a heart attack. Aren't you scared that you're on HRT? I'm like, no, not at all. So before we start, I love this conversation, but I do want to give our listeners your background. So can you
Some
just
science, some science.
Yes, yes. So it's not all just, yeah, you work with the facts. This is
I'm on
research.
board.
Right. So can you tell everybody who you are?
I mean, really, originally, I'm from North Haven, Connecticut, born and raised. Can't really get out of Connecticut, so I'm still living here too. I have a current brick and mortar practice in the state of Connecticut, but I see a ton of telehealth. I see in person at least once a year with those telehealth, but otherwise we're remote availability. And my background is really I grew up in a household full of doctors, and my father was a doctor, all my sisters, my mother helped my father in his office, the whole deal. And I kind of always knew I wanted to get into medicine. I tried really hard not to, so I explored as many other opportunities as I could, from coaching youth sports up to working at a bank up to consulting for the health department, a lot of different things. Then I did traditional medical school. I did traditional residency, general surgery residency here in New Haven, finished and was working as an attending doctor, operating full time. I was very, 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 very busy in the Hartford healthcare medical system, and then just decided over time that I wanted to do this. Now, I will say I cheated a little bit. And here's how I cheated. When I was in medical school, I always said to one of my good friends, I just want to finish residency just so I can prove to myself and the population around me like it's doable. It's not rocket science. I want to do that. But I don't really want to practice surgery forever. I remember saying I just want to like disrupt the system. Like something's wrong. I knew it. And then when I became a resident, I really knew it. And my graduation speech from general surgery residency was met with a room full of standing ovation, except two tables of administrators, because my entire speech was about healthcare being kind of this heavy admin driven, I called it the Walmartification of healthcare. And I was onto something because I clearly stuck to that agenda. So now the background from there is I decided to leave hospital medicine and practice healthcare because My goal is to invent healthcare. It doesn't exist. How do we keep people from going to hospitals? Not the primary care system that exists, which are the toll booth ticket checkers to how to get you into the hospital, right? I want to make you stay away. And that's kind of my history. And right now, my real big passion is women's healthcare. It is menopausal women, and I think that population of people just doesn't get any attention. And I would venture even beyond that and say women after their last child is born, you're kind of on your own. You're
Yeah.
on your own. And my driving force behind that is like, if we are going to tell people this is a healthcare system, then we should actually provide them with healthcare. Currently, it's false advertisement and kind of fraudulent, right? Because there's no healthcare given. So it's really false advertising. I'm sure there's legalities involved in that, but the healthcare world is very protected in ways we can't really reason out. But I think it's time for women's healthcare to actually become a thing that's taken care of.
With all the talk on social media, it is a force to be reckoned with. These women who are in their 50s, that generation of women have been bold and been speaking out and have been demanding more and more and more. These are the first women going through menopause that have social media platforms, because
Yeah.
when I was perimenopausal and going through menopause and postmenopausal, we didn't have these social platforms, because I've been postmenopausal for almost 15 years. And I am so grateful for these women for speaking out so boldly and being very demanding of what they need and want. And you knew that back then, when you were in medical school, that something needed to be disrupted. It was a gut instinct of yours. You just knew it. And probably you had some perspective growing up in a household of all doctors and seeing, I'm sure, how things changed with your dad to like your sisters in the medical, back then when your dad was, I don't know if he's still practicing, but back in the day, right? It was crazy. And then insurance came in and started controlling everything. And the doctors, I feel bad for them. Their hands are tied.
Their hands are completely tied. And the problem is that's how the system was set up.
Right.
But I'm going to go even one step further in women's healthcare. Imagine if I did a study right now and I published the results, and those results caused millions and millions of women or men to have a terrible quality of life with increased risk of cancer and increased risk of heart disease, increased risk of osteoporosis. Like, truly, if I came out with a study and I misinterpreted the data, and I affected millions of people in an entire population of humans, I would probably be in trouble. Okay. The Women's Health Initiative did that. I don't know why the world is idly sitting by and being like, all right, we reevaluated the data from 2002, and we're really sorry. Hormones don't cause cancer. We're really sorry. Hormones don't cause cancer. They actually reduce your risk of cancer. They reduce your risk of dying from everything else, even unrelated to cancer. They keep your bones firm. They keep your mental health well. They keep you off antidepressants. They keep you off antipsychotics. They keep your appetite where it is. They keep you building muscle. They keep you wanting to have sex. They keep you enjoying life. They keep your skin healthy. They keep your eyes smiling. Actually, hormone replacement, usually if done appropriately in the perimenopausal phase, you might not even need Botox fillers. You might kill an industry of skincare products because you're actually just promoting better collagen. And once we figure out even younger, we could probably do that. To list a couple of the benefits. Imagine if they then held the people accountable that denied women of what I just said a benefit of hormone replacement therapy was, by telling them it was fake. So I don't know when we're going to hold those people accountable, like literally like go to their homes and grab them and put them on trial and be like, hey, why did you do this? Like, you misinterpreted
Right.
data. One plus one didn't equal two. You got to explain to us why it didn't, right? At some point. But what I will say is, now that we're past the WHI and now that people have realized this, back to the initial statement, like, we got to call upon healthcare professionals, if you want to be a healthcare professional, to let women know that that data was wrong. You are wrong. It's okay to admit that you were wrong. We were wrong, OB. Get over it. It's done. But let's not
Right.
make the
Right.
same mistake again.
Right. So again, that study came out in 2002. I was 41.
It
I
ruined a
was
ton of,
perimenopausal. Everybody born, like I was born in
yeah,
1960.
yeah.
Everybody in my graduating high school and college class, we all suffered. We were all scared to do
Yeah.
anything. And it's a whole generation, decade of women.
Still today we're fighting it. I mean, that the battle still rages, which is why you mentioned women with social media platforms, which women with a voice. Like that's why something like this is so important because even if one of your listeners today, a single one decides to go actually look at the data, and we do allow them to become empowered and feel like they have control over their health again when they realize that actually seeking hormonal health, seeking a better quality of life is reasonable. Now, I mean, if you make $5 million a year and you want to make 10, you don't just go ask for that through hormonal therapy. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like you can't get up in the morning, you feel like shit. How do you get up in the morning and feel better? That's two different scenarios. So, like improvement of quality of life relative to how you feel, yeah, that should be available. And these are the platforms to share that.
What would you say to the women that are around my age? So again, I was born in 1960. I was 41 when that report came out. Is it too late? If somebody's 64, 65 years old, I think a lot of the women think that it's too late. The women in their 60s think it's too late. I get so many DMs, Marco, from women who are in their early 40s,
Yeah.
from their early 40s to 70 and over, saying, I never went on HRT because I was scared. And then the women in their 40s, I'm still scared. I can't build muscle. I'm eating nothing and I'm gaining weight. I mean, we all know why. What should I do? You know, and like I just here talk to my doctor. And because it's not, as we said at the beginning, it's not just one thing. It's not just the food. It's just not the exercise. It's not just your relationship with people at work or your personal life or your hormones. It's everything.
Right.
And then these women who have been waiting so long to feel better, like, okay, when am I going to feel better? Okay, let's go. And you made a really good point when we were talking about this another time. You said, look, it took them 50 years to get here or 60 years to get here. We got to give it time. So I know I just threw a lot of information at you. So what do we tell these women at these
Yeah.
different ages?
So here's what I say to all women. Number one, if you are interacting with the right practitioner, meaning you have the right person sitting across from you who's in the right mindset for healthcare, kind of all options should be on the table in terms of any bit of hormonal metabolic health, because metabolic health can be had at any age, whether you're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or 90. You can,
Explain what that means, because I
yep.
don't think a lot of people understand what metabolic health means.
Yep. So metabolic health means that you're essentially calorically eating enough calories to allow for anabolic recovery and rebuild in the recovery phase, which is sleep at night, that is monitored, proven that you're getting enough of the anabolic hormone release in those hours.
Explain what that means.
So we can follow a thing in your bloodstream called insulin growth factor 1, IGF-1, which is your true anabolic marker of growth hormone stimulation that's driven by really good quality sleep at night. So if you track somebody's IGF-1, you can essentially, with pretty good reliability, meaning the best availability we have right now, track that they are getting good quality sleep with good chemical release for recovery. So now, metabolically, a good human is catabolic during the day where you're breaking down because you're using energy.
You're using
Even though
energy.
you're making it, you're using more than you're building. And then an evening reset where your battery is recharging. So just like a 12 volt in a little kid's car, you replug it in at night, you wake up, you take it out, it runs. Sometimes it'll run for 6 hours if it recharged enough. Sometimes it'll only run for an hour if it didn't recharge enough. I mean, it's the same thing. And humans are just a lifelong battery supply, right? But every evening you reboot that battery. So metabolic health means you can reboot. And then your metabolic health during the day means you have enough muscle mass relative to fat mass. You're eating enough carbs to supply energy to that muscle mass to then perform your activities of daily living without being exhausted. And that human I consider metabolically balanced. So if you say to me, I travel for work 3 times a week, I'm on a plane, I don't eat, blah, 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 and you tell me you're a little tired during the day, that doesn't prove anything to me metabolically. That just
Mhm.
means you're doing a ton. But if you say to me, listen, I'm a 62-year-old woman, I've been doing the same thing every day, I don't even really want to get out of bed in the morning anymore. Now that is somebody that's very different than an overuser, right?
Mhm.
The reason I give the explanation I just gave is that can be somebody from ages 0 to 100. And the person who is metabolically deficient that can't find the drive to even do certain little things during the day, or who has seen a complete change in who they are over time doing the same controllable variables, that's somebody we need to work with. And I think those are candidates, any age group, and really a woman of any type of avatar build, right? Like any age and any socioeconomic status, any biopsychosocial place they are, everybody's a candidate for improvement in my mind.
What would be the first sign a woman should look for in her metabolic health? Because our hormones, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know I'm saying a very general statement, I'm not a doctor, but our hormones control everything.
They
Is
do.
that true?
Yeah, without a
Okay,
doubt.
right.
So
So,
much so that at birth they decide where you're going to go, male or female.
okay. So our hormones control everything. If we're feeling off, what would be the first sign that would indicate that your hormones are not balanced? And obviously, if they're not balanced, they're not being optimized. And I also want you to explain your view on when you look at labs, because you always talk about, I don't want these women to be normal. I want to optimize. So let's start from, what are the first signs? What are some of the signs?
So you usually the first subjective, meaning from the female's point of view, opinion, statement of a quote unquote symptom are energy levels. Now they say, I just don't feel as energetic as I normally did. I just don't have the energy to do certain things. But another big one, then once you tease it out, is libido, right? The minute libido and energy are like a total mismatch, or they just are both here or both here, hormone adjustments become obvious.
So a lot of women who are perimenopausal may feel like, and I have clients who have told me this, and just everything that I've read. So your libido may not always be a sign that your hormones are off. It could also
No,
be the relationship you're having with that person you're having sex with.
of course. And libido, but if somebody comes in with really low energy
Okay.
and low libido, now it's like, all right, something's wrong. Now, the classic female symptom when most women are like, oh no, I got to start doing something or something's off, are hot flashes and night sweats, right? That's like, all right, I know it. But before hot flashes and night sweats start, energy levels will start to change. Menstrual cycles will start to change. So if you have infrequent menstrual cycles or more frequent or adjusted, and they're not just 28 days, they might be 35 days 1 month, 10 days the next, 8 days, 28
Or
days,
even the flow, right? Even the flow can vary.
heavy or light. So noticeable things like that become smaller indicators before the women think that that's something to also make note of. But you guys, women have been coached forever to think that aging, like the process of chronologic aging, meaning the clock ticking, comes with a symptom of disease, which
Yeah.
that's not the case, right? So like when your body changes, you change. Like when you're 18 and you have a million things of homework, or say you're 23 and you got 5 hours of homework to do, you got to get to a meeting, you got to get to work, you got blah, 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 but you do find time to probably have sex or have an intimate moment, right? Except then when you have a child at home, two married people, there's no time, we're too busy. Why? Well, your hormones are all fucked up and the time is constrained, right?
Yes. Yes.
The reason I went off on that is subjectively what you think might be a symptom, right? You should express to your doctor. And if they are good at listening, they should accept that as a symptom. So subjectively, the first things are those. But if you tease out a little more, perimenopause, 35 to 38 is usually the age I start seeing women experiencing some sort of like, yeah, I just don't feel the same. Now, am I going to call that perimenopause? No. But by the time they're 42, 43, I do believe with data-driven evidence in their labs that we start to see those. But those symptoms, hot flashes, night sweats, and it's really the biggest thing is energy. The last one, that's a big one that you said earlier was I'm eating the same and I can't seem to keep the weight off, but their diet hasn't changed. Now, there's some very unreliable people. That's
Sure.
probably obvious right out of the gate. But some of these people, the majority, 99%, are really telling the truth and they can't, they are under eating and they're still gaining weight. And that's a problem.
I think one of the hardest things for a woman to recognize in her mid to late 30s when things start do shifting is how I'm just going to call it the mood swings. And they might just think, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm working full time. Yes, I'm exhausted emotionally and physically. And no, I don't feel like having sex with my husband. Like, I never want to have sex. Meantime, all he's doing is humping her, like running
Yeah,
around
yeah, yeah.
after her all over the house. And I think women, because of the way we are built emotionally, we feel like we have to take it all on ourselves. And we think, I'm stronger than this. There's nothing wrong with me. I have to keep plowing through this. And they ignore the fact that they are having these mood swings because I know I went through that. I ignored it. I just thought it was my marriage, it was my environment, it was,
Right.
I needed to go on Prozac, Zoloft, whatever it was. And I really want to scream to you ladies listening right now, or any men who are listening that have significant others, like if she's being more moody than ever, then you got to dig a little bit deeper there. It's not just you, it's not just work, it's not just the environment, it's not just your marriage and the kids. There's something else going on because that's the age when it does start, as you just said.
Yeah. And it's worth looking into, right? Because
Right,
you might be blowing something up over a quick fix.
right, right.
And I think the worst part is though, it's just the voice and the ability of women to kind of motion for help is constantly being blocked. I mean, we just talked about it, a
I
giant,
love you for saying that. I love you for
but
saying
like it's not even like it's being avoided looking at it. It's actually aggressively being ignored. And even still, I mean, just think about this. Right now, there is an argument being had whether or not it is safe to give women testosterone. Do like people, women make testosterone.
let's
Like
get into the hormones. Okay,
like would
let's
it be would you think it is dangerous to give somebody water, right? Like it's in your body. You need it. We got to start looking at it as the same as a nutritional element. Like hormones are not anything you don't need. You need them. They run your body. It is okay to have the ones you had. And we also need to move past the bodybuilding science. Those days are done. You had a group of people abuse a certain substance over time, forget them, right? They ruined it for a lot of people, but otherwise they're really safe and very helpful.
So let's talk about the hormones that you find that you test for, the big ones, right? Because that's what everybody, progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, and
Thyroid.
thyroid. So
Yeah.
can you get into that?
Yeah, so those are kind of the big four, right? And
Right.
those testosterone and estrogen are rarely tested for no good reason. And the sub markers of those in estrogen world, there's E1, E2, E3, but really the big one is estradiol, which is E2, which is the one I track directly, and then total estrogen. Then there's testosterone, but there's a world behind that as well, right? So there's free testosterone. There's steroid hormone binding globulin, which is a protein that affects your total and free testosterone. There's albumin, which is a protein your liver makes that affects your total and free testosterone. There's lots of different factors in your testosterone world. Then there's involved in both of those in the women's health world, estrogen related. There's FSH and LH, which are your brain signaling factor to tell those hormones to go up and go down. Then there's progesterone, which is also made by the woman's body, which helps with sleep, helps with making sure the lining of the uterus stays healthy and big when a woman's going to get pregnant. So every month these cycles happen to prepare the female for birthing or pregnancy. Progesterone's involved in that. Then you have thyroid. Thyroid is essentially what I tell people the equivalent of like a drill sergeant for the body, right? So the thyroid gland and its hormones tell everything in the body just go, go, go. It's like an on switch, but every single cell in your body has the on switch. So logic would tell you if every cell in your body has it, it's probably important. So balancing that is ideal. That is a very deliberate energy production hormone. It is very deliberate at increasing metabolism. It is very deliberate at influencing blood pressures. It's very important and direct at influencing mood stabilities, anxiety, depression, hot, cold, lots of different things, appetite suppression. So the thyroid's involved in a ton of stuff, but those are like the four big hitters, right? And then you have cortisol, prolactin, and a lot of other hormones in the body that we look at. But as long as we have those four under control or at least being monitored, we're in a good spot. And I will say this as well. There's no magic number. Everybody is different. There is a magic number for each person, but there is no magic number that works across the board. So this is not algorithm medicine. This is not like, oh, Jody Harrison is a X aged female born on X date is a, Pisces, and whatever the case is, she fits into a estrogen dose of 200. Like it just doesn't work like that. Everybody's different, which is also why in this field of medicine, you have to take the time to specifically engage each patient because every detail matters.
I wish you were there for every single woman I know that is scared to be on HRT because, again, so many women I hear, well, I've got a great OBGYN who's helping me. I'm taking, I have a patch, I have pellets. I'm like, can we talk about the pellets and the patch for a few minutes? Because I tell these women, no, like, do not do the pellets. And, I give them my very like elementary read on this and what I know about it, but if
Yeah.
you could explain that and why, like what it's all about.
Well, your elementary read is correct. So the problem with the best delivery system is transdermal, meaning cream or patch. Out of those two, the daily cream for me is ideal because the patch is a time released. It's a little less easy to adjust. It's less to know the dosing. There's less variability in the dosing per patch. Whereas
Mhm.
the cream we dose real time on the fly, it's a much more controllable system. The transdermal approach is ideal. Then you have the oral approach, right? So there's pills. Now, pills in a very young woman, bioidentical. I'm not talking birth control pills that you get from a pharmacy. I'm talking bioidentical hormones. Bioidentical would be okay, except the problem is the bioidentical oral version of estrogen goes through your liver because that's how your body processes anything. And when it goes through your liver, it stimulates an enzyme in a metabolic process that could cause soft plaque in your blood vessels to break off and cause increased risk of heart attack, stroke, or blood clot. So we don't want that, but it is a viable approach for a young enough lady. Definitely nobody in the menopausal phase.
So young, like 30s, early 40s,
Correct.
20s even.
20s, 30s, 40s, before menopause. And then you have the pellets, and the pellets are the least favorable, and I don't use them ever. And the reason I don't use them ever is number one, it is purely a invention for the practitioner. It has nothing to do with the client. It's so that we don't really have to interact with you a lot. We can put them in there, set it and forget it, and you come back in 3 to 6 months. Anybody who does them at 6 months intervals is completely wrong. 3 month intervals is very difficult because what happens is you get a spike and then a down and a spike and a down.
It's awful. It's awful for a woman.
And what we're,
they're like, all they want to do is fuck, and then
yeah,
they're dead. They're like
right.
literally.
And your menopause is a spike in your hormones and then your hormones shut off over a lifetime. Why every 3 months would you want to go through menopause, right? Like,
I
so
don't know.
so the pellet phase of things in my mind is non-existent. I don't actually entertain them as a useful item. So administration transdermal is ideal, oral is second if you had to. Otherwise, I would avoid pellets at all costs, personally speaking, but data driven.
I appreciate how you explained how the hormones work, and I never understood how important the thyroid was. So when we started working together and you put me on thyroid, I always thought of it as that my metabolism wasn't working well, right? But I guess because how am I going to explain this? My thyroid wasn't working optimally, so my metabolism slowed down because, as we said at the beginning, our hormones control everything. So when people say, I have a slow metabolism, I don't know if that drives you crazy or not, but what that really means is that your hormones are not balanced or optimized, and you're not doing everything you can do to be metabolically healthy, meaning
Right.
you're not eating the right foods based on your activity level and goals. You're not eating or exercising to meet any of those goals. And if your
That's
goal is
right.
to be healthy, well, we got to get all these things down pat. So
And that's exact. So, Jody, you nailed it on the head. And forgive me for saying this, but like for all the women watching, Jody's not some skin and bones. You're not like some like throw down the stairs and everything's gonna break. You know, like you're a freaking ball of muscle.
if
You're
you pick
built.
me up, I mean, I look little,
Yeah,
but if
you're
you pick
healthy.
me up, I'm solid.
Yeah, yeah. So the whole point is two things. Number one, women are scared of strength training, I think, because they think they're gonna get too bulky. You're not. Number two, women with a quote unquote slower metabolism, like you said, you want to make it faster, but you also need to make it in the speed that it's going to work really well, which is why when you do have someone like you who's thyroid, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all your vitamins, your exercise, your food, when it is balanced, the end result is a pretty good thing. Right. And I think a lot of people also watch podcasts like this or on my, say, Instagram, and I post videos of me working out. And some people are like, oh, you just want to show off your muscles. No, I actually don't. It's to show people that if you do hit the right balance, right, you're not overly big, you're not overly thin. You're not running, I'm not running ultra marathons every day, but I'm not sitting on my couch every day. It's this happy medium where you're balanced. And we are searching for balance. And the amazing thing about what we're doing, and I think we're both on the same page, is we just want people to be balanced. There's no gimmick here. We're not telling you to eat butter in your coffee. We're not telling you to only eat Swedish celery or so. I don't even know what
None
to
of
say,
that
but
bullshit. It's
it
this is
is
the yeah.
protein, fat, carbs, exercise, and balance your hormones. Use science as
And
data
sleep.
and sleep. Correct.
I get a lot of this is just a side note. I get a lot of comments. Well, you only look like that, Jody, because you're on HRT. I'm like, no, I've been working out since I was 20. And let me tell you something. I'm trying to build my butt right now, and I'm going to be 65 in December. It is not easy to build muscle if your hormones are not balanced or optimized. Now, my hormones are pretty balanced right now.
And it's
We're
still
working
hard.
on the optimal. And it's hard work. You don't grow muscles overnight. It's hard friggin' work.
Your health is effort driven.
Right.
Health is not a passive engagement. Buying health insurance means nothing. That's just to make sure whatever day anything traumatic happens, you don't die on that day. Healthcare is an investment, and more so to the fact I could show you people all day that if you do not do the exercise, if you do not do the nutrition, we're not saying extreme levels, just you got to put in some time. You could be somebody sitting on a couch with your hormones balanced, and you still will be overweight, under muscled with soft bones.
Correct. This is HRT is not the answer to building muscle or losing weight. And I think a lot of women misunderstand. Oh, if I go on, hormone replacement therapy, I'm going to lose weight. No, no, it's giving you like
Help.
a starting point, right? Like now you can start.
And it'll make sure that
So,
chemically you have the right stuff there, that when you do put the effort in, your results will happen.
right. Again, we could use all these metaphors. If you put the right kind of gas in your car, it's going to run really well. If you never take that car out to ride it around the neighborhood, it's not going to function well. You need to
That's
take it
that's
out
ex
on a daily drive.
that's exactly right. And listen, we keep saying it because it's true. You know what I mean? Like you got to keep reiterating. And the more we talk about it, it took years to beat women down to the point where they don't even ask for healthcare.
I
It's
know.
going to take us a while to keep reiterating and reinvigorating the fire in women's, asses to get them to ask for better healthcare. Like you go to your OB and you say, I want to get my hormones checked, and they say they don't matter, leave. Like just
Leave.
leave. Because their entire world is based on a female sex, meaning hormone driven medicine. If they think your hormones don't matter, their entire practice of medicine they just told you is false. They don't believe in that. Like you can't say those two words out. You can't say I do not believe in therapy. You can't say that out loud and be running a women's health clinic. It doesn't work.
And I do really wish that these older gynecologists, most of them are OBGYNs, I wish they would just be really honest with the women who are coming in for help and say, I don't know. I don't know. I know you need help. I'm not well educated in that area of health. I know how to deliver babies. I know how to do pap smears. I'm really simplifying it here, but I don't know. And that would be more helpful to these women rather than saying, get over it. This is just part of aging.
It's sad. I have a female client who goes to an OB who hates all HRT.
Mm.
So she went in there and everything is like her cholesterol is perfect. She looks great. She lost about 10 pounds, put on a couple pounds of muscle. Her entire world is different. Her hair looks better. Her skin looks better. So they're talking, and the OB literally grabs her by the arm on the way out and goes, I'm so happy you listened to me. Everything looks so good since you decided not to go on the HRT. And literally, the only thing that changed from her first visit to the second was 2 days after the first visit. She called me. She's like, you know, I'm going to start the HRT. I want to start progesterone. Like she said, let's start what you're doing. Let's see what happens. And within a 4 month time frame, already that drastic of a difference that her OB said that out loud, but then accredited to not following through. But listen,
Right.
it's okay, Jody.
It's okay. Right.
The lovely part about this is I also think it's giving people an opportunity who want to seek it out to get it, right?
Mhm.
So the ladies out there that really want this, come get it. It's available. You got to ask for it. And the hardest thing to do, I think, is find somebody you trust to guide your journey.
Yes.
Find somebody in the medical world. You got to vet these people. You got to find the right person. It can't be someone who's just trying to sell you a pill or somebody who's trying to sell you a product. It has to be real science driven. And then you gain a little trust with those people, start following the right voices that are data driven and find somebody who you can count on to take care of your health, that you can trust, that you can pay to do that. So then you don't need to waste the time Googling and trying to figure it out on your own. Because it's medical school on the internet is very difficult to do when you have no curriculum, no guidance, no relativity, and no apprenticeship. So Google Doctor usually doesn't come out well.
Right. I appreciate how much education you are giving women and empowering them because that's really what this podcast is about,
Yeah,
being fearlessly authentic by educating and empowering women to ask for the things they deserve,
that's
not
right.
waiting for permission and not being scared to ask and knowing the right people to ask.
And Jody, you just said something that hits so hard with me. And I think in the healthcare industry, this is real. You just said women should ask for something they deserve. And I believe that. You should deserve to have the opportunity to ask for healthcare. You do not deserve health. It is then past the point of deserving to ask, which you do. You have the opportunity to ask, then you got to put in the effort. And that goes for men, women, kids, anybody on the planet. You deserve healthcare. And then you deserve the opportunity to put some effort into it and get back what you should have, which is health. And I think that's an amazing statement.
Well, thank you. And I know you need to go. We have like 1 minute left. So tell the listeners how they could get in touch with you. And we are going to have a follow-up. I need to have you on the show every month because
Whatever we got to do.
our conversations are
They're wonderful.
incredible and helpful. And I feel so grateful that you're in my life and that you are helping me feel my best and that I can refer people to you. So how can the listeners get in touch with you?
Yep. So the easiest is our website is www.rtsct.com, and there's a medical tab because it's a full service gym. Email rtshealth@rtsct.com. That's rtshealth@rtsct.com. And then Lujic underscore RTS Health MD on Instagram. And between the Instagram, between Jody and myself, you'll track to all the proper handles.
Yeah, and I love what you're doing with your podcast.
Thank you.
You want to plug the podcast that you're
Yeah,
doing?
we do a podcast called Aggressively Healthy. Myself and my business partner who runs the gym, and we talk about health related topics like this. And it's a lot of women's health, it's a lot of hormonal health, exercise, nutrition, all of it. And it's along the same lines as Fearlessly Authentic. All we want to do is try to empower people to be healthy. That's it.
Mm, that's a beautiful message. And with that and your busy schedule, I will let you go. Dr.
Thank
Marko
you.
Lujic, thank you so much for being on
Appreciate it,
Fearlessly
Jody.
Authentic, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Have a good one.